Hi everybody, hope you're well. This video is requested by Shetlandluv. This video is going to be how to get passes, whether that's buying them, getting them for free, and I'm going to cover about 10 different ways to do that, how not to try and get them, and also how to save them up. So to start off, I'm going to talk about first the paid method of getting them. So if you go to your passes page, this will show up, and based on where your location is, it'll show you the different methods of buying. They'll be for different amounts and in your specific currency. So I'll just click on one for just example. So you can see here that you can use PayPal or text or bank card or call or prepaid cards, for example, for buying one pass. Now those are it's quite nice that you can buy specifically just one, say if you just need that first pass to get you started. Whenever you first join, the first pass that you purchase, you automatically get a second pass free. So if you're just starting, if you buy one pass, you get a free pass for buying one. So you might use your phone to do that. And then you can get the business key. So that's quite nice. In terms of another paid way, which is you're still using this system, but you get occasionally what are called pass UFOs, and these jump around like regular horse UFOs, and if you click them and catch them, you're given either +1, +2, +5, +10, for example, and you have a certain period of time to use these, and you have certain criteria to meet. So for example, a +1 or a +2 can be used on any of these, but a +5 has to be used on 10 or up in purchase and passes, and a +10 has to be used on 20 or up. And the reason for this is to make sure that you don't buy one pass and get 10 free, for example. So that is how the pass UFOs work. And you'll have to be very, very careful, because I know a lot of people sometimes get a +10 and they think, oh, if I buy a pass, I'll get 10 free. And then they go buy one pass and then don't get their 10 passes and they're 10 extra passes. And they're like, why? And that's because you have to buy a certain amount. So do check how much it is and how long you have until it runs out, and then you can no longer use it. Now, in terms of free passes, I'm going to mention this now because this kind of drifts a little bit into sometimes having paid stuff, the fiber offers. So choose an offer and get passes that you can use anywhere in the game to purchase bonus items. So click to take advantage of these offers. Now, I don't tend to use the fiber offers very much because I find that sometimes they can be a bit double-edged. Depending on where you are, there'll be different ones. So you can see here, we've got free ones, service, shopping, mobile, download, registration, trial, and games. Now, some of these you'll click on and it'll tell you that there's not available in your country right now. And that might be the case for some of them. Some of them will require a sign up and there'll be a price. So for example, you might sign up for this, and then if you don't cancel it, it'll charge you. So you have to be kind of careful with a lot of these. Now, I'm just going to have a look because some of these are new, because I did actually look at this yesterday. I don't think there's much more at the moment. But I'm going to talk about the surveys quickly. I did the surveys about a year ago. I did one survey, and I registered for the survey. I filled out the survey. It took me about 30 minutes or more. And then, like nearly almost at the end, it told me that I wasn't the right candidate for them, and that I wasn't the right type of person that they wished to basically survey. So the survey stopped, and I didn't get my passes, and I was really annoyed. So I did the survey again, and I told them what they wanted to hear. And that time I did get my passes. So it's not that I say it's a good thing to lie, but on that particular occasion, they wasted my time, and I thought, well, I'm going to waste your time now. So that's what I did. So be careful when you're doing the surveys, because sometimes they can reject you. So basically, as it says, they're incompatible profiles may be rejected, which is a complete waste of your time. So then you can see all the free ones. Like there's a lot of sign up ones. For ones where you have to register and you don't want to use your real email address, I would advise creating like a spam email. Well, not like a spam one, but creating a genuine email, but just having it that it's not a personal one, not one that you're going to use for anything important, and keep it separately and use it for these kind of things and sign up. So then all the spam will go to that email, not to your personal email. So that's what you can do sort of to get around a couple of things there. Now it will actually tell you how many passes you get and within how many minutes. So you got 10 minutes there, some of them are a minute, some of them are several hours as well, like 2 hours. I did actually see one a couple of days ago, it was 4 hours. So you can use the fibre offers, but they can be a little bit iffy, I think sometimes. I don't trust them very much after my first experience. So that is kind of a half free and not free, depends what one you're doing. So just be careful. Now, if we drift into free ways to get passes, the first one I'm going to talk about, if you go to community game help and then some info about Howrse, and then 1.7 is the passes one. So we'll talk about this one first. So starting from your 50th day on Howrse, you can purchase a pass using 20% of your reserve every 30 days of seniority. So what this means is, if we just scroll down here onto the pass page, so we just read that out. Basically what happens is when you start your game and you've logged in for at least 50 days, and you have to have logged in, okay? You can't just sign up and then not log in for the next 50 days and then sign in on the 50th day and expect to have 50 days seniority. You'll actually have 2 if you do that, okay? So you actually have to physically have logged in. So once you've reached your 50th day, you can get a pass to your reserve. Now, if you have a lot of money, you might be thinking, oh, it's going to cost me loads to get this. What you can do is go to the shop and sell your money, or sorry, buy fodder. And the reason you can buy fodder is you can see the price for fodder is 1. So if I buy 1 fodder, it costs me 1 equus. So if I wanted to get rid of all my equus until I had like maybe 10 okay, I could do that with this and get my equus reserve way down so that the pass costs next to nothing to buy with my reserve. So that's something you can use for that. Then it'll tell you when your last purchase was. So it tells me that my last purchase was, and that the conditions have not been met to buy a pass with my money from my reserve. So basically I haven't the ability to buy one yet. So basically from your 50th day, every 30 days of login after that. So if you log in every single day, the 80th day you'll be able to get a pass, and then another 30 days after that, another 30 days after that, providing you've logged in. So that's how to get with the buy a pass from my reserve. And that's completely free except for your equus. Try and make it as cheap as possible for yourself. Now, the next thing I'm going to talk about is I'm going to talk about pass horses. So I'm going to highlight this to show you. So you can win passes by sending horses that are older than 30 to heaven, and I have some videos about pass horses, so do have a look at those. According to the following rules, you win 1 pass for each horse you send to heaven that is older than 30 if you haven't won if you've won fewer than 10 passes in the last 30 days. Now, I remember in my original pass video, I said that send 10 horses to heaven, you get 10 passes. And I didn't really mention the fact that you could actually get up to 30. And the reason I didn't is because after the first 10, you're not guaranteed to get a pass, okay? If you have a look here, you'll see you have a 1 in 3 chance of winning a pass if you won between 10 and 29 passes in the last 30 days using this method, so basically sending horses to heaven. The remainder of the time you'll win a bonus item. So actually a couple of days ago I sent some horses to heaven, and the last one that I sent actually gave me bell boots, so I didn't get passes at all, and I was a bit annoyed about that. So personally for me, I don't think it's worth sending horses to heaven after the 10th pass I get, because then I only have a 1 in 3 chance, and a lot of the time I'm just going to end up with things like bell boots, which really don't equal a pass. I don't see that value in them. And then, so basically what it says here is you can't win anything else if you've already won 30 passes in the last 30 days. So if you've won 30 passes, say you might have sent 50 horses to heaven, you might have sent 40, you might have sent 30, you might have sent 60, and you eventually got all your 30 passes. So then after that, you'll get nothing. You'll not get bonus items, you'll get passes, etc. So it's a nice method if you have the time to do that, but it does take a while to build it up. And you can buy pass horses in the sales, but they'll cost you a lot. Personally, I like to buy younger horses and age them up daily. And it does take time, don't get me wrong, but once you have a lot of them, then you have a constant stream of horses, sort of. And if you AP hunt, it kind of does help with that. Make sure they're mortal horses, not immortal, because you can't send immortal horses to heaven because they don't die. Then the other thing is you can win passes if you put horses up for sale in exchange for passes and players buy them. So we'll just quickly go to sales, so trade and sales. So you've got 3 different methods. You've got auctions, direct sales, and reserved sales. And you can put horses up for auction for passes. You can put them up in directs for passes as well. So that's one way of getting passes, okay? Now you can just see actually there's a pass horse right there for equus. So you can see they can be quite expensive. It'll vary from server to server. So if you're putting horses in the direct sales, I would advise unicorns or skillers. And if you don't have them yet, what I would say is start off and get yourself a unicorn, okay? And then breed unicorns, and eventually you will have them. I'm not saying that this is going to be a quick method. Could take you a couple of weeks, could take you a month or maybe more. It's going to take time to do some of these things, but once you get yourself set up, you will be able to keep a steady stream going. Now, coming out from selling horses or passing, I do have a lot of videos about selling horses, so if you want to go and look at those, you can, because that'll go into a wee bit more depth. I'm just kind of brushing over this at the moment. So another thing I'm going to mention is sponsoring players, if I go to the right place. So community and then invite players. So within this is quite nice because you can earn gifts basically for inviting new players to the game. You can either send them an email address or you can give them this link, for example. Whenever they register on the game, you get 2,000 Equus. If they complete the tutorial, then you get Howrse Red. Now, if they actually buy their first pass, then you get a pass as well. Now, just to mention this, it says here, cheating with sponsorships. Remember that registrations are limited to one player. You do not have the right to sponsor yourself in order to win gifts. So basically, don't create multiple accounts in order to do this, because you'll just get yourself banned and your account deleted. So once people buy passes, then you can see there where people have registered, where people have completed the tutorial, and where people have bought a pass. So you can go in and check that. Now, going on from that, what we'll talk about next is planting pass seeds. So I have some left over now. These don't come out very often. They are rare. They fall out of the sky on occasion. So pass seeds are very rare, as there is only one producer on the planet. For the time being, he's out of seeds. Pass seeds are grown in large meadows exclusively using manure fertilizer. As with any crop grown in a large meadow, this means you will need 25 pass seeds. The growth time is 30 days and you will harvest a single pass. So basically, I would need to have 25 in my inventory, have a 25-acre meadow, have manure ready, and then I'd have to plant those 25 pass seeds, and then I'd have to wait a month, so 30 days, and then at the end of it I'd get one pass for those 25 pass seeds. And it's not particularly expensive because you're only paying 200 per pass seed, but it is very time consuming. They have only come out twice on UK since 2011, so they don't come out very often. But when they do come out, they are limited, so you need to get them as quickly as possible if you see them. Don't hang around and wait. They'll not be there later. Once people realise that there's pass seeds in the shop, people just jump on them. So that's pass seeds. Now I'm going to mention divines. Now this might not be great for people who haven't got divines yet, but one of the divines that does give passes is a Howrse. So I'm going to see if I can find one, and then I'll explain how you get one. So I'm going to look here, I'm going to actually see who was the last person to win one. So basically these are given to a player with a horse that's been named Junior Howrse. So Howrse is a divine horse that produces money instead of droppings. On the 13th of every month at the site's update, Howrse gives its owner one pass, but only if they logged in the day before. So basically you'd have to make sure you'd logged in the 12th of every month. If the 13th of the month falls on a Friday, Howrse will give you 2 passes. Every month one horse among those named Junior Howrses is turned into a Howrse. So basically if you name one of your horses Junior Howrses, you're automatically entered into a chance to possibly win this, and one player always gets one on the server. So there's always a new one each month, and you have to make sure you spell it right, make sure you have the capital letters and so forth. Okay, so if you want to just go in and copy and paste it, so basically all you'd have to do is copy, and I'll just go to one of my horses here and click edit profile and paste that in. That's all you have to do. Now I'm not saying it's going to happen because I've never got one and I have several named. It's not that having loads helps, it's just that I had a habit of naming them Junior Howrses when I used them as fillers. So that's another potential method. Now one other thing I'll mention is diamond giving divines, and the reason I'll mention diamond giving divines is these have a certain amount of they're quite helpful. So this is software, and basically whenever I visit people's pages, some days I get a diamond and some days I get money. So let's just see. So I'm just going to go to this person's page. So by finding a sapphire, you have won a diamond. So basically why this is good is because once you have 10 diamonds basically equals a pass. So though you can't use diamonds to buy horses in the sales, you can use diamonds in the black market to buy BM items. So you might want to do it for that. So it's quite handy. So if you have any diamond given divines, do spend the time to work with them. Now, the last thing that I'm going to mention is player giveaways. So sometimes whenever you go on people's pages, they will have competitions on their pages. Sometimes you can win passes. The people that do it vary. I don't know anybody that runs it all the time or anything like that, but occasionally people have them on your pages. And really the only way to find out people who are doing pass giveaways or prizes, or maybe they're giving away a unicorn or a divine, is to visit their pages. Don't bombard people asking them, just look at people's pages, check them out. Sometimes maybe just looking in the general ranking and then going into popularity, you might see where people tend to be visiting pages. Maybe there's something interesting on their page that you want to look at, and maybe it's there. So those are most of the ways to get passes. Now I am now going to mention ways that are not allowed, which would have been mentioned probably in my previous pass video. But since October 2014, these ways have been basically clamped down on, that you're not allowed to do anymore. So I'm going to talk about those quickly. So some people will ask you to kill off pass horses for them. So basically what happens is they give you pass horses, you kill them off and give them the passes, and then they sometimes give you a pass. That is not allowed anymore. Another one was to sell BM items to other players for passes. That's not allowed anymore. Buying passes off other players, that's not allowed anymore. Pass hacks and cheats, that's never been something that I would say is a good thing. And I have a video on that explaining why, so if you want to know, go look at that. Why it's not a good idea, why it's dangerous, and sometimes why it's a complete waste of time. So the reason a lot of these things are not allowed is because a huge amount of people scam other players, and they do it by using these methods. Some of them get caught and some of them don't for quite a while, and therefore they do a lot of damage. It's not a nice thing. I mean, for example, let's say somebody approached you and said, I'll give you 2 passes if you sell me your Morpheus arms. And you said, okay. So you put up your Morpheus arms in exchange in good faith that they're going to give you 2 passes. So you put it up as a gift, they take the Morpheus arms, they block you, and you didn't get your 2 passes. And there's nothing moderation can do for you, and there's nothing admin can do for you. What they'll say is, you shouldn't have done it. It's your own fault. So that's why, for example, that's frowned upon. It's the same thing, buying passes off players. You can't guarantee that they're going to actually give you, even if you insist you might scam them. I'm not saying you're going to scam them, but you have to think about this 2 ways. Both people can scam each other. So these are why these aren't a good idea. And in terms of the pass hacks and cheats and stuff, a lot of them don't work. Some of them are actually just going to steal your own information. Do not, under any circumstance, of anybody, if you try to do one of those pass hacks or cheats and it asks you for your horse login and password, you're going to get your account stolen in about 3 seconds. Okay? So those are the things to avoid. Now, the last thing I'm going to talk about is how to save. And this is kind of a tricky bit. So this is mainly what shetlandluv wanted me to cover. So in terms of saving passes, I think the first thing you need to decide is, why do you want to save passes? Because if you don't have a reason or a goal in mind, maybe you think, right, 6 months time, I want to have 30 passes. In a year's time, I want to have 100 passes. Or in a week's time, I want to have 3 passes. You need to set yourself a goal, set yourself a timeline, small sections, cut it up into little bits. I mean, there's no point in just saying I want 1,000 passes by the end of the week, unless you plan how you're going to get those 1,000 passes by the end of the week. So really, it is kind of about setting a goal that you are focused on. Maybe you want to save up 20 passes to buy yourself a skiller, but you are in the habit of just buying random horses in sales for a pass and then thinking, oops, I've just spent all my passes. So you really have to be strict with yourself. And it's the same principle if you're trying to save up Aquis. You literally have to be like, no, no TC, no. And just be like, don't spend those passes. I think the other thing is too, there's certain things you have to decide whether it's worth to you. I mean, the thing for me is if I'm going to spend passes, I need to know that I'm either going to get the same value out of them. So if I spend 2 passes, I'm going to get 2 passes back, or I'm at least going to make more on that. So 3 passes or 4 passes. And another thing just to keep in mind, and this kind of ties into saving passes as well as gaining them. Think about this. There are people in this game that like to spend passes to make passes. There are people in this game that like to spend Aquis to make Aquis. But there are also people in this game that like to spend passes to make Aquis. And also people like to spend Aquis to make passes. And some people like to do all 4 or a combination of them. Now why this is quite important is because if you're standing, like this is just an example for me, sometimes I get pass horses that I reach my 10 passes and I don't want to go into the 30 as I explained earlier. Sometimes I put my extra pass horses up into sales for a pass. Okay? So I put them up for a pass and sometimes they do actually sell. So what happens is somebody buys a pass horse for a pass. Now that might sound really silly, but that person might be more interested in making Aquis. So they take that horse, they buy it off me, they put it back in the sales, and they might put it up for 200k. So they're trying to make money, and they're okay to spend a pass to do that. And somebody else will come along and go, oh, I don't have any passes, but I do have 2,000, I do have 200,000 in Aquis, I need this pass horse, and they'll buy it. So you have to think about this. There are different players out there with different thoughts in terms of how they like to play their game. I mean, I used to prefer to spend passes and make Aquis whenever I was really, really keen on having the most Aquis in the game. But as time changes and shifts, I've moved into a different state where I prefer to not have as much Aquis and try and see my pass a little bit. So you need to think about it like that, is there are different people out there with different mindsets. And if you understand that, then it's easier to price your horses better. Because one of the things that I do sometimes, if I have a huge amount of skillers to sell, I might put some up for passes, I might put some up for a little, like half and half, so half passes, half Aquis, and I might put up some for just Aquis, but I'll make sure that I have them an equal value in my head. So I might say that I want, just for example, a pass to be equal to 100,000k. So if I'm selling a horse that is worth 3 passes, I might put up, say there's 3 of them and they're exactly identical, just for the sake of this. I might put one up for 3 passes, I might put one up for 200,000 and 1 pass. I might put the last one up for 300,000, so that I am appealing to the different types of players and the different types of buyers in terms of what they want to spend. So those are some things to bear in mind. But the most thing in terms of not spending passes is to get your game set up in such a way that you're, for example, there's a lot of promos that go on that you can get BM items in, and then that you don't have to spend passes to get them. There's a lot of divines out there that will give you items that you don't then have to spend passes on. And I think what it is really about in terms of making your game long-term and sustainable is to really focus on getting divines or horses that help to maintain your game and give you a constant inflow of stuff. I mean, obviously you're going to have to put the original investment in to get that out of it. But over time, you want to be thinking about how much is this divine going to pay me back from what I've put into it. I mean, there are some divines that do nothing in terms of giving you BM items or diamonds or anything like that, and they'll sit and they'll collect dust. There are a lot of other ones out there that are quite nice, and they're quite nice in that they give you a good return over a long period of time. So in order to save passes, set a goal, okay, to start off with, and then decide what those small-term goals are going to and how they're going to help you get to your long-term goal. So think about it, plan it out. It's going to take you, you're going to have to sit down and ask yourself those questions and see what things you want to get and how you can get to them. Okay, so that's it, guys. That was quite a lot, but I hope it was helpful. Thank you to shetlandluv for requesting the video, and I hope you have a lovely day. Bye guys!